All right, family, give me a thumbs up in the chat if the sound is good. I'm fixing my mic right now. All right. Let's see where we at with it. Y'all give me a thumbs up. As soon as y'all give me that thumbs up, let me see, make sure mic is good. All right, appreciate that. We good on sound. Let's get it. Peace and chaos. Welcome back to Nagaverse Network, the Spiritual Shade Room, Camophis Academy. Happy Mother's Day to all of the great mothers in the flesh form. Shout out to my YouTube family. What's been Gucci with y'all? And shout out to the Nagas and Fangs that's up in here. Special shout out to Leah and Joseph for helping me put together that new intro video. I'm very, I feel very great about how it came out and just loving it right now. And I can't wait to see how it evolves along with the platform, but it looks great. So yeah, family, we have a few things in the works that I'm excited about. We're going to start rolling it out piece by piece. Everyone should have gotten their packages by now in the week. Email startribe777@gmail.com for inquiries for the sacred plants and for your Gematria Vedic astrological readings. And before we begin, I want to echo the message that I've been pushing on Zoom and Twitter Spaces recently over the past week. Our brother Yaki Awaken, is under attack right now. He put a message up. I didn't save the message, but Facebook took the message down, but he's been gang stalked. He's been harassed by unknown entities. We already know who them people are. And we want to send our effervescence out to that brother. I don't want to see none of the future gurus have their life in jeopardy. I don't want to see anything like that, because I heard they're cutting the brother breaks. Now they're taking down his videos. And I know some people disagree with some of the things that he says with his methodology to health, but I say that's all bullshit, you know. Until I see otherwise, he's been doing good work in the community. His melon eating diet saved my life a few years ago. I ate nothing but watermelon for a few weeks and I saw the results. So it worked for me. So we're going to be sending a protection barrier over him and his family. And I know the spirit will work in his favor and cover the ones walking in the light. So Ara Poya, Ashe to that. So yeah, you already know how we do this, family. I'm going to break down the simulacra of the rituals within this simulation, and then we'll build on that and go into the lecture. This one is going to be a journey, and it's going to get better as we go. So buckle up. I know everybody's at Mother's Day dinners and having family time, but those who made it to the lecture, we're going to have a great one, and they'll listen back when they play it back. So shout out to the true writers that stick with me from the beginning to the end. So today we're in the Tithi, and if you don't know what that is, the Tithi is the lunar day. So we're in the lunar day of Shukla Paksha Chaturdashi in the Nakshatra Aswati, which is ruled by Rahu, the head of the serpent. Jupiter is in the final degree of Taurus and is about to enter Gemini. So right now you should be encouraged to shed outdated beliefs. So that's what you should be doing right now with Jupiter in that final degree in Taurus. That means you should be making ways for new paradigms of thinking and methodology to your finances, lining things up. And we are in Vyatapata yoga, which is a rare and intense yoga for sudden transformations and karmic revelations. The moon is in Libra, so you should be coming into a balance and harmony. But the cryptocracies, that's the secret societies inside of other secret societies. That's what the word cryptocracy means. They're working in cahoots with each other as in collective egregore, and they're messing with the astrology of how they do these rituals to catalyze what's called the Black Muhurta times for sacrifice and sorcery and chaos magic. Rahu and Ketu, they're used to program shadow magic for hypnotism on the masses, to induce in deceptions, illusory focal issues, mass media manipulation, things of that aspect. Rahu is the head of the serpent. Ketu is the tail. That's the north node and the south node. And we're currently in the Chinese year of the wood snake. We've been talking about that for the last couple of months, being in the Chinese New Year of the wood snake. The wood snake years are specifically used for DNA harvesting rituals. You got to know that. It's also used because the snake sheds its skin. So there's rebirth apotheosis ceremonies. They did that with the Met Gala with Diana Ross. We broke all of that down on Patreon. It's also utilized in dream hacking rituals. The snake rules the southeast in Chinese astrology and is linked to wind and subtle breath currents. So it's used in time invocations of serpentine spirits or elemental jinn. In the yin fire of esoteric anatomy, it begins in the hour of 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. You got that 9/11 connection. And that's when energies are rising in the chrism oil. And they use these things during the times when they're setting up ritual chambers. So they induce suffogations, black mirrors, voice-based conjuring. That's how these elites lock in and put us in the spin cycles that we're in right now. So Shaturdashi Tithis, that's the 14th lunar days of the month. These are very sacred to Shiva, the god Shiva, which is the god of destruction. So they use this energy for destructive rituals. And speaking of destruction, there was a ceasefire called today in India. I don't know if you guys have been hearing what's been going on with India, but there's some war between Pakistan and India. Trump talked about it today. But since Wednesday, there's been cities in turmoil caught in between the crossfire of Kashmir and Pakistan. And now there's blackouts in those areas. You know what I'm talking about? They got blackouts happening all over the country. Trump offered today to work with India in an announcement earlier. That's all ritualistic, but the number 77 is very, very important. The city that got caught in the crossfire name is Jammu. Jammu equals 77. And we've been seeing a lot of 77 rituals continue this year. We've been cataloging all of the 77 rituals on Zoom, on the Twitter spaces, and within the Discord group. One thing you must understand is that power equals 77 in gematria. You know, Shador Sanders, a lot of rituals were connected with him. He was drafted in the fifth round, 77 days after his February 7th birthday, 2/7, 27 in gematria. Gematria equals ritual. And April 28th is the 77 date numerology. So there was a humiliation ritual during the draft that we covered on Patreon. There was a 21-year-old son of the Falcons defensive coordinator, Jax Ulbrich. This guy made a prank call to Shador during the draft and pretty much pranked him. He thought he was going to get drafted to the Saints, which there's a lot of rituals centered around, you know, the whole Catholic thing with the new Pope that I'm going to talk about. But he gave him a prank call and he's being harassed and doing all of these stuff by people online. But the interesting thing is that the boy is the son of the Falcons defensive coordinator. He's 21 years old, the one that made the prank call. Deion Sanders, Shador's father, wore the number 21 in play for the Falcons. You see how these number rituals go? It's always connected in some type of way. Then recently, Nike released their new Love Letter to Kanye sneakers. Their new Nike sneakers came out. Kanye is Deion Sanders' mother. That's Shador's grandmother. And you got to look at the symbolism here. Check what he posted. We've been talking about this. This is the same red ritual symbolism. I think we showed it of Diddy's Love, I think called Love Grid album. The Love album, Off the Grid or something like that. But he's sitting in the red chair. He's sitting in the red chair. Give me a thumbs up. I don't know if there's no activity in the chat. Make sure I'm still live. Okay, I see you. Okay, Connie equals 33. Yeah, you know, the Diddy trial just started on 5/5. So this is, you know, even humiliation rituals, they're a form of sacrifice as well. You know, so you got to look at the symbolism here in the timing of them coming out with these sneakers. And how he's sitting behind his mother. His mother's wearing the all red, head to toe, and the chair is red, and he's standing behind her. I don't know. That kind of looks like sacrifice. And she's 73. She's 73 years old. Sacrifice equals 73. And we don't want to put these things, you know, on people. It's called dark gematria when you foretell events like this that may be negative, but these things happen to people in the industry. We got to realize these people, once they sign these contracts, they become walking curses. I did a video on that, how celebrities and public figures are walking curses, the energy behind them and everything around them start to get sacrificed. All types of weird stuff starts happening, popping up in the news. But yeah, it was the same red ritual symbolism of Diddy's last album. And that's very interesting. And going into the Diddy trial, the trial began on May 5th, Cinco de Mayo. What's interesting, I know the cabal specifically lined this date up, 5/5, to line up with his birth date, his original birth date, November 4th, 1969. From November 4th, 1969 to May 5th, 2025 is exactly 666 months. And you see how is one day here. This is a important lesson in numerology and gematria. The reason why they align that a little off with the one, you have to understand that the court date couldn't have began on Sunday. So it began on Monday, a day after. You see? One day after. So that tells you that somebody intentionally lined this. They picked this court date so it can align exactly with 666 months. That's crazy. That is wild. Sex trafficking equals 666 in Latin and Jewish gematria. Yeah, in 5/5, somebody pointed it out. He's 55 years old. So is Jay-Z. God equals 55. Satan equals 55. So these are all connected. The May 5th selection of the date, that you had the little Q post. The music is about to stop. Will Diddy sing like a bird? Will he start naming people? I don't know. He might start naming people. It may be in the script. He may be reading a script for him to start naming people. And it might get very interesting going into the summer. But you're going to see a lot of Diddy news increase over the next couple of weeks now that he's in trial. They're moving slow right now. I heard a couple of the witnesses are backing out. They're just setting it up right now. They're setting the stage. But notice it says the music is about to stop. Let me get to that in a second. So Cinco de Mayo equals 55, just like he's 55. 5th of May equals 55. February 24th was the 55th day of the year. Why is February 24th important? That was the day that the Gregorian calendar was implemented. So it's just connecting the dates here. And speaking of the music is about to stop, this is a death of Hollywood ritual continuing from the Cat Williams whole thing on Shannon Sharp's show. So Trump's tariffs are continuing. By the way, Trump's tariffs equals 201. But Trump tariffs are being locked on the film industry right now. So it's going to stop all of the outsourcing of production collaborations outside of the US. So that's wild. They're not going to be able to get no production outside of America. And you're starting to see some things line up with that. And there's a reason why they're selecting Trump to do that. You know, he has to look like a Christ figure doing all of this stuff, stopping the PDF files, all of that type of thing. But remember the Kendrick and Drake beef. They were amplifying all of the PDF file, and that's a code word for you know what, all of the PDF file abuse through the Kendrick and Drake beef. They made the Super Bowl rally around saying the word, you know, the pedo. So now that it's on Front Street, you got the whole world talking about it. We are witnessing them reboot another egregore that's going to be mirrored to Hollywood. And I won't be surprised, just like what happened with the SAG protests. Remember the SAG protests? All of the actors went on protest. There was no shows for a while, about a year back. I won't be surprised if artificial intelligence becomes the hub for filmmaking now. I saw a video on that. Somebody put a video out saying in 2050 or something like that, 2040, you may have to select whether you want to watch an AI film or a human-made film. And the human-made film might cost a couple of $100, maybe $1,000 for you to watch a organically made human film. And it's going to be real cheap for you to watch a AI film, because that's going to be the main hub. So yeah, it's going that direction. Remember Cyber Polygon with all of the blackout rituals. Remember the date of Cyber Polygon. When the Pope died, we didn't get to cover this because it happened the same day. Klaus Schwab, you know, this dude, he be dressing like he's in the Mortal Kombat game. He looks like Shao Kahn or something like that, or a Sith Lord. He stepped down the same day that Pope Francis died. You think that's a coincidence? Now, he was the one that held the Cyber Polygon back in 2021 and another Cyber Polygon meeting in 2024 on the training for cyber attacks. That happened on 9/11, 2024, ironically, which a 9/11 is the distress emergency code. This happens 229 days before the Spain blackouts after the Pope's death. 229 is the 50th prime number. Blackout, Jesuit, Cyber Polygon, all equals 50 in the same numerical ciphers. Emergency equals 50. And this happens 167 days after this guy, who is now the new World Economic Forum leader. He is the WEF new leader. He took Klaus Schwab's face. I mean, place. It says face. I'm looking at his face. Real creepy. His name is Peter Brabeck Letmofs. I don't even know how to pronounce his weird name. He has a two-word last name. But his birthday connects with what's going on with the cyber polygon. Very creepy looking guy. I think he has the same birthday as the head of the Jesuits right now. But it was 167 days after his birthday, and cyber polygon also equals 167. And we notice the pattern of these people having these eyes. Something is up with their eyes. You've seen it with Joe Biden. You've seen it with Queen Elizabeth. We know the Black Eye Club in Hollywood. And I broke that down. That's the whole Varil worm whole thing. When they put the worm inside the eye, it's a type of ritual. I guess it goes back. It's supposed to simulate the eye of Horus or Set, taking out the eye of the deity. It's all rituals. Said they vampires. Y'all been watching Sinners a whole lot. But remember when Pope Francis opened the St. Peter's Basilica 5 doors? We covered this. I said that him opening them doors, those 5 doors, symbolically was the portal to the Cliffoff, the backside tree of the tree of life. They were simulating by opening the doors that they were opening the gates of hell. And it was all based off the group, the rock band group, the Doors. We broke this down on Patreon. If you haven't seen my breakdown on this, it all connects and goes back to the Doors group and Jim Morrison, the museum that was built after him in Cali. It burnt down a month before the Great Fire of Palisades in California. Remember the Palisade fires? And my video on Patreon was called The Mass of the Phoenix Ritual. Get that video. Major research went down on that video. That's something that must be reviewed. And so we have that connection. If you go back and watch and look at that information, why was it fires? They use fire, smoke, and smog to feed demons. That's out of the Talmud. I break all of that down. I even read the actual chapters out of the Talmud that has all of that information. You said Mojo Rising. Yeah, we broke that down too. So he opened the doors and he died. Here we have 2 things happening with him opening the doors, and then CERN announced like a day ago that scientists are witnessing lead literally turn into gold in the Large Hadron Collider. This happened around the time that the new Pope was declared. You see how they do that? So they're speaking about alchemy. They're hinting at alchemy here. They're speaking about some type of alchemical happening after they remove Pope Francis and slide this other guy in, and I'm about to talk about. You said, what's the name again? What you mean, what's the name? What's the name of what? Mike 44. The name of the video is called The Mass of the Phoenix Ritual. You said that other picture looks like their eyes. Yeah, they're doing some rituals with the CERN machine. So remember the Pope, the Trump Pope meme. Now you have to understand the framework of mimetic magic. A meme is not merely internet humor. So you see these memes sometimes. I'm talking about the big ones, not the troll ones that these people put out, but even that has a type of magic to it. But they're not just internet humor, but they're sigils, they're carrier waves of intention, emotion, and symbolic resonance. When Trump posted this meme involving the Pope shortly before the major ecclesiastical transition of the Pope, it was the installation of a new one, and it could be interpreted through a lens akin to chaos magic. So in context, the meme acts as a glyph. that's encoding intention into the collective unconscious. So they understand that symbolic timing is critical. The symbolic timing is how you get the social engagement. So what they're doing here, they're weaponizing the viral moment to ride. They're going to ride the viral moment. They're going to redirect it or even prefigure the viral moment to have a global ritual and suck the energy out of it. So the Pope, being the earthly vicar of Christ in Catholic ontology, you're looking at a planetary scale egregore, and any shift in that archetype, like a papal death, it can cause a ripple through the morphic field of the religious base of people who look into that. So a mimetic act could operate via coincidentalism in principle or in occult thought. It is meaning it clusters around synchronicity and not causality. So since the meme and the Pope's death occurred close in time, what we're witnessing is a kind of twilight language moment. Remember my video from my old YouTube, Twilight Language. A guy named Michael Hoffman wrote that book. I want you to go back and get the book, Twilight Language. That's Ilana Freeland's teacher. I probably mentioned this book a lot, but for those who's just watching the channel, if they don't catch a lot of my videos, I'm going to give you a lot of scholarship for you to look back at. This is the book here. Very, very important book to have. I can't even finish the book because there's so much information. I'm taking my time getting the downloads. What's going on, honey? I see you up in here. What's going on, Janae? I see you. Said Kirk Packwood too. Adonijah says if they can fabricate gold, why the price at the highest? They manipulate everything, right? Yeah, twilight language. So this is the type of twilight language with what they're doing with the mimetic magic here of what happened with the Pope. And this is where symbols literally break through the consensus reality. So Trump's action could be interpreted as a banishing transference ritual, which deliberately destabilizes the existing spiritual authority, and it pre-inscribes the narrative of the successor. So the meme served as a hyper object or some type of spellcraft to collapse time in the media prophecy, making a archetypical death, but then it's established in the cycles into a ritual event that's witnessed by millions. So the ritual was performed in the shared digital psychosphere where the true altar was attention itself. That's how meme, I just broke down how meme magics works and the physics of it. Okay, Kirk Packwood got a book on mimetic magic, manipulation of the root social matrix. Janae said that you need to get that book. So you got that happening. Now another ritual happened right when this new Pope is being announced. The Saints NFL team ironically announces that their quarterback is retiring. Derek Carr. You see that? He wears the number 4. And if you don't know gematria and numerology, the number 4 is the death number in Chinese numerology. Chinese people don't even put the number 4 in any of their numbers on apartments or houses over there. They have a superstition against, you know, they have a superstition against the number 4. But nobody really cared about Derek Carr, by the way. So I had to put this meme up. Speaking of memes, but it's a ritual nonetheless because the team is the Saints, and the Saints is connected to the Catholics and the Jesuits. So this is magic at work I'm showing right before your eyes here. And make sure you guys are sharing the video. Make sure you like the video. It's going to be one of them classics to break this stuff down. What's going on, Travis? I see you up in there, bro. Love your posts on Facebook. Yeah. You said Trump is trying to be the Lord of the Rings. Yeah, it's a lot of connections. So Pope Leo the 14th is inducted on May 8th, 5/8 on the 128th day of the year, which is connected to significant occult numbers. The number 128 is emphasized through esoteric linkage to, mitotic cell division. Mitosis is how cell divides. The cells in the body divides. And the seventh stage is connected to the seventh letter G in the Masonic compass. Also, the 128 hertz frequency is associated with the flower of life, the sacred geometrical pattern of the universe. So you see that here he's holding up his hands, making the Moloch hand pose. A lot of people didn't catch that when he was announced. In Freemasonry, this is called the grand hailing sign of distress. Let me pull that up. Oh, I got too many links open up here. It's called the grand hailing sign of distress. So what is the grand hailing sign of distress that we see here with the Pope? This signal in Freemasonry indicates that a Mason is in distress and needs assistance. A Mason is then obligated to help another Mason who gives this sign, as long as it doesn't endanger their own life. I was like, what the fuck they got going on? Is he telling people he in trouble? Chemical General says this sign has been going around as a meme. Right. What's going on, Cedric? So this was another 558 ritual. It was announced on 5/8. Pope Leo 14th equals 58. It happens with 237 days left in the year. First American born Pope equals 237. The Order of St. Augustine, 237. He's 69 years old. 69 is the symbol of the sign Cancer on top of the Masonic Royal Arch. I've been breaking down 69 rituals. In Freemasonry, on top of the arch, they always have 69. And there's been a lot of 69 rituals. They killed Kobe's father last summer at 69, right when we went into Cancer. So he's a Cancer and he dies at the age of 69. And you see the 69 up here. This Pope is declared Pope at the age of 69. His name is Leo. You remember the white lion? Remember the white lion in the movie Leave the World Behind? Connecting it to Leo, the lion. You know, the Leave the World Behind movie was produced by the Obamas and his company, Higher Ground. And when you see the Higher Ground logo of Obama, it has the Freemasonic stairs on it, by the way. But you had the white lion, the ship that crashed on land, which was signaling some things happening with finances and some Moorish science as well. But not only just that, and this is hyperlucidity. This is how you're supposed to see through the matrix of these things, make these connections. It's also syncretism, showing some of this stuff, the symbolism of it. In Lion King came out the same day, the following year that Leave the World Behind came out. Listen to what I just said. The movie Lion King came out the same day, or at least around the same day. If it wasn't, it was one day probably behind, those of you who are particular, but it came around the same time. It might be the same day, but it was released on the same day from the year before, when Leave the World Behind came out. Remember, in Leave the World Behind, you had the white lion. Then the next year, they actually had a white lion in the Lion King movie. Then they killed the original Mufasa, which was James Earl Jones. He was the original voice of Mufasa in the original Lion King movie. They killed him a month before that. And then the movie is about Mufasa, the Mufasa story, which they reveal that Scar isn't really the villain in Lion King. The kingdom, the Lion Kingdom was supposed to be given to Scar because Mufasa was like taken into Scar's family or something like that. And they gave Mufasa the throne. So technically, Scar wasn't really wrong to be mad at Mufasa. But America loves a good villain, though. That's one thing you'll learn about America. But anyways, Pope Leo, you got the white lion. You have the white lion and Lion King. All of these things are adding up. Also, it connects to Trump because, the election time and Trump having MAGA. In this Vedic chart, MAGA is ruled by Leo, or has Leo in Vedic astrology. And also in Leave the World Behind, it was all about blackouts. That's what we're experiencing right now. So there's some cinemamancy occurring. It's a lot of cinemamancy. So then they already caught this guy in some PDF file scandals, as you see here. I'm not going to read it, but he went to Villanova. That's why the New York Knicks is winning so far in the playoffs, by the way, because half of the team on the New York Knicks went to Villanova, just like the new Pope. So I'm going to get into some of the sports stuff a little bit later before we start cooking. I'm going to throw some metaphysics in here in a minute. Then the movie Conclave. This was the picture. Okay, I did put the picture in here. So the new Pope went to Villanova. So the movie Conclave was written. Now listen up to this. The movie Conclave, I think it came out last year. Somebody check that for me in the chat. The movie Conclave was written by a man named Robert Harris. The Pope in the movie, his name was Robert. Now look at this. This is a full predictive programming because the new Pope, his name is goddamn Robert. You see? Okay, somebody said it did come out last year. Thank you. And I did the what is the anagram? Whatever it is, his name comes out to pervert robots. I was saying he might be a moonchild or a clone. This guy next to him, Leo, what is that? Leon the 13th. You might be looking at some cloning and some free Martinism. They're saying he has some gender issues in the structure of his skull. And then I also figured out, oh, by the way, get the book Rise of the Clones, the Cabbage Patch Babies. We've been talking about that on Patreon. But the actor Gary Sinise could be playing him, when they have these people play the characters. It's called aerial pageantry. They did this a lot with Joe Biden. There was a different Biden every week. This could be one of the actors because they look very, very similar. Yeah, maybe some Moonchild type stuff. maybe some moonchild. And I said in the year of a wood snake is DNA harvesting rituals. Let's break this video down. It's going to be one of them classics. Have a lot of key gems that's going to hold in time. But September 14th is this new Pope's birthday. And on that day, Prince released a song called Pope. You see that? So Prince released a song called Pope on the same day that this guy was born. And remember the Drake and Kendrick beef? It was all about Kendrick being Prince and Drake being Michael. I broke that down in the Lamar workings video on the One on One podcast. And I was connecting all of the Prince rituals, like in the Olympics. Everything was about Prince. Now, there's been some photos circulating the internet of them releasing Prince's death photos, but those photos were AI generated, I figured out. So they were AI generated, but it still connects with Prince because I have a video that I want to show you. Check this out. Uh-oh.
Purple Rain, and we all thought it was just a classic song. Well, check this out. This man walks outside after a rainstorm in Denver, Colorado, and boom, he finds purple water on top of his jacuzzi.
And this is the water that's on top of my hot tub.
So that's the water that's accumulated on top of his hot tub. He goes over to the bucket and he shows y'all. You can see it's like a little lilac color, but when he tips it over, you can clearly see it's like this purple lavender color. So how did Prince know? How did Prince know? This is exactly what I'm talking about. You know what I'm saying? So let me ask you a question. Do you think Prince was tapping into something deeper, you know, for making a song like that? Because no one else has made it, right? Right? Or is our life, do you believe our life is scripted like the Truman Show? Because purple...
You see? So all around the country, you've been having this purple water. You've been having this blue rain water in Texas. So it's raining purple and blue. And some people have been saying if this water, this colored water rains on you, you get really sick. So this is another biological weapon they're testing right now, but specifically purple rain. You know, you got this purple rain in Texas as well. So these are some military projects and some Prince rituals. So we got to look out for something else. I encoded something with Prince's sister or something on Patreon. I can't remember, but I got to go back and look that up. Something happened to her within the last couple of months. So you got to pay attention to that. Okay, so I'm gonna mix pieces of the lecture in with the hyperlucidity so we can move ahead in the broadcast. So I gave you a little bit of the hyperlucidity, but we got to deal with some spiritual stuff as well. This is a spiritual channel. I want people to understand that this ain't no decode channel. This is mainly spirituality, understanding the physics of the soul, going through research. We look at things in the matrix so we can know that it's a simulation and it's fake. But we mainly, y'all know what we mainly deal with over here. This is a picture from my last lecture. Well, it's not even my last one. It's probably 2 or 3 lectures back on Patreon called Hoodoo Titans. That is a must review video on Patreon. So I told you that this is a critical time in your spirituality for rebellion. You know, it's a battle right now for a sovereign timeline. That's why they're mixing the characters up, changing the popes, you know, connecting the celebrities to geo-engineered rituals. This is a critical time for enveloping your sovereign timeline. So you get all these motherfuckers talking about sovereignty, getting your paperwork with your sovereign. I'm not saying I'm not coming against them, but I'm talking about a sovereign timeline of your own cosmic destiny. Do you understand what I'm saying? That's what you need to be doing right now. Some of the keynotes from that lecture. What are the Titans? The Titans are hyperdimensional forces behind collapsed physicality. I'll break that down when I explain the aeons in a few. We have to understand what the aeons are in Gnosticism. We have to, give the physics of it. But in modern physics, especially quantum entanglement and non-locality, is hinting that our mind has access to higher dimensional fire. And this fire is entailing the ability to collapse, navigate, and reprogram timelines. That's what the fuck they're doing. But you have the same ability, but they're trying to dumb you down for realizing that, from you, so you can't realize that you can't do the same thing for you. So there's a awakening of your Titan mind, which means the breaking open of the limitations of the 3D simulation and accessing a broader aeonic field. The Titans were primal architects seeking to engineer new aeons, entirely new fields of reality through creative acts. So your creativity is pivotal. We're in a hyper war, and the hyper war is fought not with weapons, but through the collapsing and creation of timelines in your dream fields and in ontological domains. So the people who are Titans, we must be reawakened in the human mind so that individuals can participate consciously in the war. Now, I haven't been able to break down melanin on YouTube like I did on Patreon, so I'm gonna give you this on YouTube since we've been over it the last couple of weeks. The way that melanin is explained isn't prototypical of just talking about skin color. You have to understand that melanin is not merely a pigment, but it's a biocosmic interface, a sentient molecular matrix encoded with astrochemical memory, enabling trans-dimensional cognition and vibratory adaptation. It is both a substance and signal, a living cloud of information processing information processing that's tethered to both the material in our celestial body. That's one of the most advanced definitions on a base level you can get on melanin. Melanin in this framework is an antenna of the soul synthesized from stardust precursors that could be carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen, sulfur, that resonates with cosmic frequencies. It processes not only environmental light, but symbolic light. That could mean dreams, your intuition, and ancestral memory of higher gnosis. So in the Typhonian tradition, in Sirius-based esoteric systems per Kenneth Grant, Carl Stone, melanin functions as the black etherical tissue that connects the lower self to the stellar intelligences through astral and subquantum streams. So melanin is a somatenetic device, a bioetheric drive in us that encodes emotional experience, ancestral knowledge, and cosmic instruction in holographic imprints within our body. Melanin is not just a passive biological product, but a responsive learning, semi-sentient medium, a bioquantum interface that allows terrestrial beings to become living libraries of the cosmos. So it's a biological cloud processor, analogous to cloud computing. Melanin in this model receives downloads from ultra-dimensional stellar consciousness fields, the 0-point field, news sphere, and the Akashic records. It also stores symbolic data as emotional, intuitive, and experiential memory. Melanin expands and adapts through compression algorithms. That means emotion and environment, which gives us encoded wisdom. Projects learned data through behavior, aura, voice, and intuitive flash, and melanin is the morphogenetic broadcast system that does so. Okay, so I'm putting together a new book that's going to have a lot of this science in it. So I just want you guys to get used to the verbiage, because it is advanced verbiage, but you get used to it. It's going to increase your wisdom and understanding what I'm talking about when I'm saying melanin in these things. And your mind won't go straight to, skin color or some other biological function inside your body or something. It's got to become more advanced than that. That's all we're saying. So we now have declassified CIA documents from the Monroe Institute's Gateway program and the Stargate program, whereas they're detailing the same method that I was teaching in classes over the past few years on color psychoacoustic meditation that's called color breathing. Have you heard of this thing? There's this thing called color breathing. We've been telling you guys to practice this. Use it in your research. I'm just going to put this graphic up while I explain this. So the color breathing is a method that you can use when you focus on the use of your breath and imagination to direct energy through specific color frequencies. This technique is not only therapeutic for you, but it's ontological. It serves as a practical method. And this practical method entrains the electromagnetic field of your body to resonate with universal energy patterns. It's powerful. So in our system, this becomes an act of psychoacoustic Kabbalah, inner travel alchemy. I've even given you details of me using it, and I got access in my dreams. I went back to what's called the primordial forest. This forest could be the first forest that Eden took place in. I don't know what the fuck it is, but it's connected somewhat to the Kabbalah, my own body's Kabbalah of Malkuth and my journey up the stairways of light, which are the Sephiroth. So I gave detail on Patreon. I haven't given it, on YouTube. Would you go to the Patreon and get all of that? But each color that you imagine that you fill your astral body with, it corresponds to Sephirotic nodes. And each inhalation that you take, it can open a nodal portal into the multi-dimensional timeline. And what I mean by that, I told you a couple of years ago, when that cold spot opened up in the universe, all of these scientists kept talking about this cold spot, some area in between Boötes and these constellations. They didn't know what it was. Back in 2012, when the Mayans had predicted it was the end of the world, I came up with another theory that maybe the world didn't end, but our timeline ended, and that cold spot opened us up to multi-dimensional timelines. That's why time feels like it's speeding up. Every day we're probably switching multi-dimensional timelines. You see what I'm saying? And the people that's really into the magic, they're tapping in and they're meeting on the dream realm in meditation, the multiversal versions of themselves, the mirror forms of themselves on the other side, and they're exchanging information. That's how deep this stuff gets. But you can do this or you can at least get access to the field. I'm not going to say that you're going to be meeting up with your, with the other form of yourself the first try. It's going to take work, but by aligning your breath, start with the prana inside of you, align your prana with a color, a etheric frequency. Then you embed your intention, which is the daemonic force inside of you. That's your holy guardian angel, to initiate activation of spectrum-based forms of reality modulation, which pushes your consciousness through these nested temporal fields. By doing it, every color is going to push you through. So the CIA, they've been documenting the effectiveness of these color-induced mind states. And unintentionally, they've affirmed, this is on record, I've showed the document, that what the ancient Kabbalists and the yogis called the tree of life or the rainbow body was in fact a multi-temporal interface capable of collapsing thought into holographic form. Thus, that means when you do these color breathing techniques, you become a sacred act of aeonic engineering. You're fusing your physiology with mythic cognition, and you're bypassing the matrix and entering sovereign timelines encoded in the pleroma. Let me show you a video. This guy talking about it. Hold on, let me refresh.
Here is a simple way to reduce emotional pressure throughout your total system. Whenever you consciously desire to reduce within yourself any emotional charge, move it down to the point where it is no longer harmful or important. All you need do is close your eyes, inhale deeply with your physical lungs, hold your breath for a moment, and think of the calming, cleansing energy of green. When you do this, and then exhale your breath slowly, the calming, cleansing green energy will slowly and surely push all excess and harmful emotional charges down through your physical body and out through the soles of your feet, leaving your entire system, your entire self, calm and confident, strong and serene. The more you perform this exercise, the easier and more effective it will become.
You see, y'all go through bullshit all the time. So instead of just being in the bullshit, we trying to give you techniques to try. You know, I'm not, some people may say that's bullshit, whatever, but at least we gave it to you. If you ain't fuck with it, that's on your ass. So yeah, we're cooking right now with rare metaphysics on this channel. I also gave on Patreon, I give you guys a sneak peek. My Nagas and Fangs already looked at it, but I gave you mudras to do with it. These sacred mudras of what to visualize when you do your hands in certain ways. And then we gave you the Nayaga dream sigils and methods to activate that multi-temporal consciousness to your HGA or your daimon. When I come out with my new book, I'm going to fully show pictures of what the third tree, Odorasha, how it looks and how you can work with it. It's going to be in detail. My new book is going to be like a workbook on how to access the reality engineering magic that's waiting on your retrieval. It's something that you always had in you. You just got to activate and use it. But yeah, we were showing on Patreon how to use these sigils. You know, a lot of people ain't giving methodologies and stuff of what to work with. You can use the black mirror, or you can use a bowl of water. That's hydromancy. They call it stellar reflection. The 528 tuning fork that symbolizes your willpower. Then using these anointing oils. We put that on Patreon. I ain't gonna put everything on YouTube, but you should be going on a fast before you start to work with Sain Naha. This is the Sain Naha. You should go on a fast 3 days before, in sexual abstinence, and do the shadow bath. Remember the melanin bath. If you don't know what that is, then those of you who get what I'm saying. And you anoint the 9 points of your body with the oils that we gave you in the Patreon article, and anoint these specific chakra points: the crown chakra, the brow, the throat, the heart, the solar plexus, the sacral, the root, the hands and the feet. And then you visualize the toroidal field inside the lattice cobweb tunnel spiral that I told you about, that you should have by now. You should have it printed out on display in your room by now. And that is your stellar loci activation. Every neuronal circuit in your nerves is the end of a specific star's charge collapsing into the waveform of your makeup. So your Vedic astrology is going to detail the regions of which star constellations of where a lot of your soul and spirit's intelligence has flux in. So you need to get your readings done. If you aren't up on your stellar origins galactically, just email me. I'll put my email in the chat, startribe777@gmail.com. And we can get you sped up to understand what you connect with constellationally to your stellar loci. But back to the hyperlucidity. Let me get back. We're going to be hopping around a little bit. Make sure you're sending the video out. Make sure you guys sending the video out. So back in my Moonchild Covenant video on YouTube, I gave a full breakdown on a new philosophy to what the Moonchild is in this aeon. And I spoke about one of the experiments, social experiments they're using with these particular characters, the Carmelo Anthony fellow and the Julian Brown guy. The Julian Brown, he's some type of techno alchemist. He's using plastic to become an energy source. And I was discussing in that Moonchild video how he's going to be targeted and how he was a Moonchild. Now, a week after I exposed that, this happens. He came out with a video. Hold on, let me see if I can refresh it. He came out with this video, and I was like, I told you so.
A few days ago, 2 days ago, all 10 of my lug nuts on my front wheels were loosened completely. And one of my wheels almost flew off going 70 miles per hour on the interstate. And of course, I had my car in the shop to get the wheel bearings replaced. So the first thing I did was call the mechanic, of course, and be like, what is this? Why are my lug nuts not tightened? And on the phone, he sounded really, really like distressed. Like he was like, it sounded almost like somebody was like holding a gun to his head the way he sounded on the phone. Like he sounded scared and like he wanted to get off the phone with me as soon as possible. And he told me on the phone, he was like, well, your bushings on your car are bad and the vibrations from the bushings cause the lug nuts to loosen. I tightened them. And you don't even have to work on cars to know that that's absolute BS, right? The bushings, if your lug nuts are, tightened completely, that's not going to affect that at all, your bushings, because my control arms and sway bars and stuff do need to be replaced, but that had nothing to do with the lug nuts coming off. So I don't know, like I still to this day don't know if it was him or somebody else, but what I do know is my lug nuts were loosened and I was one lug nut away. By the time I pulled over, all but one lug nut was on, and most mechanics, they might miss one, might miss two, but nobody misses all five by accident. So I don't know what the heck is going on, but there's certain precautions I'll take from now on when I'm driving, checking my car and stuff, because that was just too close, way too close. And then the other side.
So yeah, we tried to tell that brother because he was out there batting his eyes a little bit. He was bugging them eyes. He was cooning a little bit. I'm good with the brother, but he was cooning just a little bit. We discussed that on Patreon, but yeah, they trying to sacrifice it. They trying to sacrifice him because when you start fucking with the free energy, you really get into these billionaire pockets. You start messing with the free energy. That's what damn got a lot of them people. The guy that was putting the water, having the hydrogen system in the car, he ends up getting killed in the Buffalo shooting. Ironically, these people start disappearing. So we tried to say that. All right. So a little bit of sports hyperlucidity. So You know, the Celtics is in a playoff series against the Knicks. At halftime, the score was classic gematria, 71-46 at halftime yesterday. Celtics equal 71 and 46 of the two of the main ciphers. And your boy Paul Pierce, he's a moon child. Check out your boy Paul Pierce. They put him in a wheelchair yesterday because Paul Pierce was saying, yeah, if the Knicks go up 2-0 on the Celtics, I'm gonna walk 15 miles to the job. So he's playing, acting like he walked the 15 miles, but he wears that number 30. Well, he wore the number 34. That's a sacrifice number. So don't be surprised if they get Paul Pierce. He's been doing a lot of questionable behavior on these podcasts with the Joy Girl. But the last time Paul Pierce was in a wheelchair, the Celtics went to the finals. And don't forget, when Joe Biden left office, Joe Biden's Secret Service name is Celtic. So don't forget that. Everything is encoded around that. So the Timberwolves are soaring high after beating the Lakers in a scripted ritual. I didn't think the Timberwolves are better than the Lakers. I think they want Anthony Edwards to have his moment in the Timberwolves, because remember the dire wolf resurrection they announced? Scientists say they have resurrected the dire wolf. Now you got the Timberwolves beating everybody. I don't know what the series is against the Golden State Warriors. I think Steph Curry is hurt too, so they trying to pave a road for Michael Jordan's son or his clone, Anthony Edwards, to get, if not to the finals, close to it. And don't forget the UConn women won the national championship in women's basketball. And this would have been Kobe's daughter's freshman year had she survived the helicopter crash. And a husky is a wolf, and it was a wolf in the national championship in football last year. I think it was the Washington Huskies. Yeah, I think it was. And then you had, don't forget, the Kansas City mascot is a wolf. So there's a lot of wolf themes right now, but the dire wolf thing is connected to this thing. So what it is, they're speaking about the two wolves is Romulus and Remus. They're Romulus and Remus. Now, first of all, this wolf is a clone. They didn't resurrect nothing. All they did was clone it. So this is cloning technology. So they're putting on Front Street that they got the cloning technology. This is a ritual. But it does connect to Trump and Elon Musk. They're the two wolves. Well, it was supposed to be Trump and Biden, but now it's Trump and Elon. The Romulus and Remus mythology of building Rome. And Trump has this Apollyon statue. Let me pull that up. In one of his main suites in the Trump Tower. So this is his Apollyon statue in his house. Now, understand that he's paying homage to the god Apollo here. Is this the Apollyon? I don't even think this is the Apollyon statue. This is Eros. Where is Trump's Apollyon statue? I showed the picture before. I don't know where it's at now. Well, you guys can look it up, but it's a Apollyon statue in one of his suites. Now, Apollo represents he who descended from the she-wolf. Let me pull this image up. Make sure you guys liking the video. Send the video out. So Apollyon or Apollo is he who descended from the she-wolf Lupus. I want you to get a TV series that I broke down on Patreon. Patreon has over 900 videos. I don't know why people ask, you know, if there's new content. We have about 3 videos a week. There's so many videos for you guys to go back and look up on Patreon. I did a full breakdown of Raised by Wolves. I'm saying the whole entire show. I did a full breakdown on there. And you guys can go into there's a filter where you can go back and, you know, the search engine and find these things. And I broke that show down about these future AI cyborgs who took over Earth and conquered these other planets to populate it with humans. Apollo means wolf-like, the Lord of the storehouse, Lord of the sun, and the distant deadly archer. That's what his name means. Apollo is the golden boy of Olympian pantheon. That sounds like Trump. A spirit of healing, hunting, music, poetry, and prophecy. He radiates such dazzling charisma that he was eventually venerated as the solar deity, although he never completely took over Helios. Apollo overshadowed him. Apollo is a form of Horus. So this whole wolf thing is connected to the deity Apollo. And if my computer goes in and out, it's starting a thunderstorm again. You guys just let me know in the back channel, because it's storming pretty hard out here. Okay, so went over that. So your boy Joker, Nikola Jokic, he dressed up in the Joker outfit. That's commemorating Trump and also Diddy, because Diddy put on the Joker outfit Halloween last year. That's all connected to the playoffs right now, because every time that the Joker won, it was supposed to symbolize a connection to Trump and his birthday, if you go back and look at the gematria. You said Zeus coming. Yeah, we're about to talk about Blood of Zeus. The TV series you need to be looking at, Netflix, Blood of Zeus. Season 3 is out. The Titans have been freed by Gaia, and the Titans are kicking ass. They're kicking all of the Olympian guys' ass. Speaking of Apollo getting his ass whipped too. So you have to pay attention to these TV shows, you know. Zeus's demigod son, Heron. Heron is the protagonist, and his brother, Seraphim. They're the same being. They're just showing the Sephirotic and the Clephotic form of one another. So Seraphim and Heron is the same being. So I will be doing a full breakdown on Patreon this week of Blood of Zeus, so you can get ahead and start watching it. The episodes are nothing but like 21 minutes. Should be able to watch it fairly quickly. You said Freya had a wolf too? Not surprised. There's some Nordic mythology I could connect to it as well. Wheel of Time. We broke down Wheel of Time on Patreon as well. Let me just show you a little bit. Yeah, we wrote down the Met Gala too. But they got Nynaeve really showing her power in this thing. So this is just a brief breakdown. It's going to be very quick. We came to the conclusion, with the help of our Titaness Wendy's perspective. I was pushing back a little bit because I couldn't see where she was going with it until we figured out the original Dragon Reborn was a melanated man named Louis Theron. And I didn't know that. I forgot about that. I went back and watched the video, one of my old Wheel of Time videos, and I did say that. I just forgot it. but it's connected. And we think that through Wendy's perspective in class, she said that Nynaeve is the actual dragon reborn. And I said, you know what? You might be right. You might be right. And by the way, you're missing a lot of critical information to these TV series and their decodes. These TV series are esoteric and metaphysical. They're going to serve to you as an alchemical mirror to yourself. So when you watch the TV series and the movies, it's allowing yourself to externalize the inner archetypes and recognize how there are mythic energies in the show that are reflecting stages of your life and your spiritual evolution. So you can watch the series and consciously identify with the characters and recognize their symbolic attributes. And then you can engage in a form of mythopoetic transmutation that draws a narrative of energy into your awareness. And this allows you to embody those traits in daily life as a talismanic persona. And this is by you catalyzing your discipline, your spiritual practice, your willpower, your shadow work, which grounds you into a higher metaphysical pattern. By watching the show, you're doing magic and you're refining your spirit. So that's why you should be watching the shows. So in the show, they're going to show you a couple things. First of all, they had Nynaeve, when they put her on the water with the chain, they were simulating the slaves and everything. I saw that was supposed to represent like an ancestor being chained underwater, but they showed the power of her breaking the chain, and she became Moses, or what they call a Moshe. They the American mythology changing his name, or the Israelite mythology, and she's splitting the water and all type of stuff. But they also, they showed the slave here. They're trying to find this collar to put around the dragon reborn, but I noticed they showed a melanated man with the collar. So this just proves the dragon reborn is probably a melanated person, you know. But they got Telaran Riode in this series. Trying to find it. Okay, this is Telaran Riode here. And Telaran Riode is a metaphysical interface. That's how you do your dream work. So Egwene here can go in the dream, and she learns how to push different people or characters out of her dream. I wanted to show y'all a video of DMX wife speaking about some type of spell somebody put on her. They sent a warlock inside of her dream, and she don't have these practices to understand what you're supposed to do. And she ended up, you know, she had to just call on Jesus. She had to wake up and call on Jesus. Now, I'm not saying nothing wrong with whatever you do with that. I'm not coming against whatever works for you. But in Telaran Riode, they're teaching her the wisdoms of the Aiel people are teaching her. Look at what she says. She says, in the dream world, the power is yours. What you believe, that's what it is. If you believe you are more powerful than her, then you are. Now, the badass is your girl. What's her name? She's one of the Forsaken. Find her picture. I don't know if I deleted her picture or whatever. Y'all put her name in the chat. There she go. Lanfear. So she's one of the Forsaken. And this is the melanin, by the way. You see the melanin around her. showing all of the melanin physics in the show. I just read to you what melanin was. They understand what it is. But Lanfear, she runs Teleran Riod, the dreams. She runs the dream realm. You're not fucking with her with the dreams, but the IL, the wise woman, was trying to teach Egwene that you can do these things in your dreams, like lucid dreaming. So it's teaching you how to empower yourself in your dreams. So that's one thing you can learn from the show. I did like what they did with the brother Perrin. They gave Perrin a new narrative. He becomes the king of the two rivers. Egwene learns how to dream walk. And I'm going to conclude on this because you got to go to Patreon to get the full breakdown. So Rand Althor, he's the dragon reborn in the series. Well, we think now he's the false dragon, but he is the vehicle of the collective daemon in the show. He's an archetypical convergence of the soul strands across timelines, because there's been many dragon reborns. So his journey towards sanity through madness, because when males channel, they become mad. Females can channel without becoming mad. And there's some spiritual stuff to that. But the inner shadow is the dark one in the series, and the dark one must be integrated, not just defeated. The dragon in the series is not a hero, but he is a Axis Mundi breaker. He is one who ends an age and births a new aeon through fire and psycho-spiritual crucifixion. So they're showing him with the melanin around him, the creative physics. Very, very powerful show. I want you guys to check it out and go to Patreon and look at the decode if you haven't. I broke that down, Junkyard Jedi. You got to go on Patreon and check it out. I broke down the whole thing. All right, there's something going on with Kai Cenat. Did y'all see the ritual with Kai Cenat right now? Lord God. So Kai Cenat, they got this thing called Streamer University classes. Have you guys been hearing about this? Let me break this down. We're going to still be cooking. Everybody get back cooking. So Kai Cenat's Streamer University classes. This can be decoded. It's nothing but a ritual initiation. So what they're doing, they're going to mirror a archetypal structure of, you see how it's like Hogwarts? They got it like Hogwarts. You see the Streamer University. Check this out on the stream. It kind of looks like Hogwarts to me. And like a academy is real studious in the back. Looks like a magical, got candles and stuff in the background. So they're showing you that this is a magical training to become a streamer. Except the magic here is the sorcery of influence, how to go viral, and how to have digital charisma. So just like in Hogwarts, they channel magical lineages through skilled practitioners. Kai Cenat is using these comedic rites. So he's doing these funny, how to be funny, but it's a way of passage, because he's having competitive trials and these symbolic graduations to induct these young aspirants into the occult craft of streaming. What is streaming? Is learning how to manipulate emotion, manipulate timing, and become a spectacle to summon Loosh, the energetic attention of viewers, as a currency of power. So they're showing how they even did a video on the other streamer. I can't remember his name. He showed that most of the times when he has a set during his stream, it's like in this big ass warehouse, this random warehouse, and they build the room that he's in. Shit is crazy. That's how big it's got. So now the elite is investing in these streamers because they know this is another critical archetype of the future. So the set, the roles they play is all scripted chaos acts that they're doing in a sigil theater. They're transforming our raw youth into digital warlocks, channeling mimetic forces for a mass enchantment. So we have to be careful, make sure your kids know and understand what they're doing with this. You heard it from me. Aiden Ross, that's who it was. Yeah, there you go. I don't know these motherfuckers. I've never watched a Kai Cenat stream. There's no point of me watching it. There's 0 point of me watching it, or the crazy girl that be saying ice cream. She be like, ice cream, cowboy or some shit. Like, what the hell is these people doing? Those are the real NPCs. Those are the real motherfucking NPCs. You see that shit going on. All right, the Ryan Hinton ritual. Now, this is one for the ages right here. Yeah, getting subs and views, right? The Ryan Hinton ritual. So if you haven't heard, so there was a death of a young boy. Now, they were saying that this 18-year-old black boy was with these other teenagers, and they robbed, or they stole a car, and the police ended up killing Ryan Hinton, shooting him. The police officer claimed he had a gun. They looked back at the body camera. He didn't have a gun. So it's another didn't do nothing case that these, white supremacists be putting online. The didn't do nothing mean like when black people say, I didn't do nothing, and they kill you. It's a whole thing that they get off on, some type of loose they get off on. But let me break this down for you. First of all, the thing that they're not telling you is that the car wasn't stolen. The owner of the car wasn't paying the car bill. So technically the media reported it as stolen, because if you continue to ride a car that's months after, not making a payment, technically it's stolen, but it was their vehicle. So they kind of hid that. So that's one thing you're going to see come out. Yeah, this is a whole psyop. So this is the tragic saga of Ryan Hinton Jr. His death is followed by Ryan Hinton Sr.'s retaliatory act. So he retaliated by killing another police officer. He just randomly rammed his car into this police officer during a graduation that was working. I think he was retired or something like that, but he was working a graduation that day. And I think this is a case of MK Ultra, some Moonchild type shit. So this is a scripted soul harvest ritual. It's engineered to psychically charge the collective unconscious with the archetype of the sacrificed black warrior. So this dual tragedy, it mirrors an ancient pattern in mythic martyrdom. His son is the innocent lamb, and the father becomes the vengeful titan. And he ignites this global racial tension with the killing of the officer, and the media amplified the attention. And what the ritual is here to do is to generate more emotional loosh, feeding the occult systems that drive on trauma. So we anticipate that this is all utilized for the cryptocracy, the occult orders, to have a final sacrifice of Ryan Hinton Sr. to complete a symbolic triad. That means to cement the mythos of eternally slaying the black divine masculine, or black divine masculinity. And this is through a timeline spanning back to Ogun, to Emmett Till, to George Floyd, which that was a complete psyop. I will admit that was a psyop. I mean, even though, you know, somebody did lose their life, there was some real funny stuff around that. George Floyd was definitely a moon child. There's so many question marks that I have with him having that. Why does this dude have the Order of Child tattoo on his chest? That's the weirdest shit I ever seen. But thereby binding, when they do this, they're binding the collective psyche into recursive cycles of grief, rage, remembrance, and weaponizing it for magical control. So that's what they did with this. They want to trample. They're trampling on the timelines right now, hyperdimensionally. And it's through, and they are using the multiverse, but are using the multiverse of melanated people. Like, what if melanated people actually ran the US? If they tap back into their magic? That was what was supposed to originally happen in the screenplay of Lovecraft Country, you know, because a lot of melanated people were motivated behind this. They said this guy has so much money coming on his books in prison that you can't even send him no more money. And I think there's some white people behind it too. I think so. I think they like to feed this, and it's not just black people or melanated people doing that. But the point is that it galvanized a lot of black groups and stuff like that. So this is what they want. They want the racial war to continue, because that's what the Freemasonic floors represent: black and white, black people versus white people. So remember, in Lovecraft Country, the original screenplay was by Misha Green, The New Negro Republic. What if black people ran America through their magic? I want you to check this out.
The real reason Lovecraft Country Season 2 was canceled by HBO is because the executives found out about show creator Misha Green's plans for Season 2, which included showing black people controlling their own portion of America and using magic to create their own sovereign nation within a nation. Once executives found out about this, they killed the second season of the show, and they stated that they parted ways with Misha Green due to creative differences.
So there you go. So this is really true. They had the New Negro Republic, and this is the same thing that they're inciting. They're telling black people, hey, why don't we do the segregation again? We'll give you guys a portion of land to live on, and we'll take the rest of the country. Well, imagine if something happened like that, but the black people that lived in these areas, they actually ended up building up these areas to be like the main hub of the country, and those areas where black people are become like the economic generator for the whole country. That's what she was going to show, you know, in the show. So they kind of ended that. It was like, yeah, we got to put an end to that shit. So you're wondering why it got canceled. Well, there you go. And that's actually in the book, by the way, in the play. So they keep playing on these racial themes, and I'm just showing you the connections to it. The United States have a $21 trillion underground network for only the wealthy to hide out in a near extinction event. How long have I been talking about this, family? Go back and watch my video. What was my video on? I can't even remember the video name. Let me go back. I did a video on this damn near 2 years ago. Under Space Decoded. Go back to Under Space Decoded on YouTube. That was a great video as well. Under Space Decoded. And now they're announcing this. Why the hell would they announce this? What is the reason for announcing this? They just admitted they just spent all of our tax dollars to build them some underground city, just like in the TV series Silo in Paradise. So this is a revelation of the method. So this is a narrative following the series like Silo in Paradise, where there's a hidden subterranean realm where the elites are housed during surface collapse scenarios. So the story, they're running this story for a preparatory mythology. It's a symbolic blueprint that conditions the masses for the elites' real world plans, post-apocalyptic dominion and survival of the infrastructure amid a World War III or a climate engineered catastrophe. So these underground sanctuaries function as modern arks, just like in the Bible with Noah. These modern arks, which also echoes the ancient inner earth myths like Agartha and Shambhala or Patala. It signifies a separation of these timelines, one for the chosen technocratic priesthood, the other for the surface populations left in the simulated scarcity. So the news is serving a occult disclosure, revealing a ritual bifurcation of these worlds, one buried in secrecy, the other playing out in the chaos necessary for its justification. So you have to be aware of why they're doing this. Now, there's a story. I might interview this woman. I spoke about this in the Zoom videos. There's a woman by the name of Cassie Carter. Shout out to her. She is a NBA wife. Someone reached out to me. They plugged us in, and now I've been speaking with her. She's the NBA wife to ex-NBA player Anthony Carter that played with Carmelo Anthony on that Denver Nuggets team. And what she called me for is to tell me that she believes that her husband has been cloned. She believes her husband has been cloned. Now, she's got a whole lot of paperwork behind it. I've never seen someone, with this much evidence in a clone case. Yeah, I don't know. Everything with Colorado equals 38 in gematria. So she thinks her husband has been killed and they replaced him with a clone. She got pictures. I also connected the gematria. Blood sacrifice equals the same numerology with her name 2 times with him. And he wears number 25. Also, he's 49 years old. She also thinks that her son could possibly be cloned, but I understand as a mother, you don't want to put that on your child. But she said her son is acting weird too. He plays for the Sacramento Kings, but she's been blasting that they've been cloned. You see her blasting this, and they're kind of trying to silence her. But you see how he's 49, clone equals 49. The son is 23, clone equals 23. And these are 2 of the main ciphers here. Damn, that was some loud thunder just now. I don't know if y'all heard that. So you see all of these posts that I might bring her on and interview her so you guys can understand her story. But we're going to see about that. I'm still communicating with her, but it is definitely some stuff that's weird with that whole case. So we'll talk about it in the future. So there was a giant plus size statue of a black woman put in Times Square. By the way, Times Square equals 666 in gematria. Alongside, there was another statue of a black woman on her phone. Now, the decode of this, first of all, the LGBT funded this. The white LGBT funded these black people to do it. And you got some of these woke spiritual black women coming on my post saying this is Big Mama energy. If anything you see with Big Mama energy is a fucking ritual and is moonchild terminology. Anything that goes viral, that spiritual quote unquote people use, I would never use no shit like that. That means they want it out there for a reason. So Big Mama energy, I'm like, stop it. Yeah, I'm not on nothing with Big Mama energy. So Great Mother energy, but the Great Mother ain't go nowhere. She ain't never went nowhere. So they got one plus size black woman in Times Square, then they got another black woman on her phone in Italy. Now, what is this encoding? Remember, I spoke about Nephilim worship. These people worship this Nephilim shit. Because somebody came to my post, is this what the Nephilim are about to look like? I said, oh my God. First of all, the statue is only going to be up for a month or two. They're going to take the statues down. If y'all read the article, it's only going to be up for like a month or two. So they give and take away. If you're into that, they're going to take it down soon. So there's this modern Nephilim worship, and it's cloaked in progressive aesthetics. So these towering effigies, they're only commissioned largely by the white LGBT artists or institutions because they have the money to do this. And what they're doing right here with the plus-sized melanated woman statue, they're giving a archetype of a mammy, you know, a ever serviceable black female figure, you know, from slavery. They're trying to recast it as a totem of empowerment, but it's laced with ritual subjugation. So you have to understand that, you know, because they could have put up, we got plenty of icons. Why didn't you just build something for our icons? So they're these massive size statues. It mimics the Nephilim, the ancient giants that's tied to divine human hybrids, but it's symbolizing how black femininity has been monumentalized, yet surveilled, is distorted and commodified. Then you have the phone, the black woman on the phone. That's to signal the enslavement of digital culture, where attention becomes control. So these statues don't liberate. They encode a narrative where black womanhood remains a spectacle that's ritualized, absorbed, and mythologized into the infrastructure of a global matrix built to extract soul force and shape social memory. That's all the fuck this is. That's all the fuck this is. I already said who designed and created it. Y'all have to pay attention. I already said who did it. Got to go back and look at what I said. All right, let's get to the lecture. Y'all asking questions. I ain't coming at you directly, K Street, but I hate when I say something and somebody be like, I'll talk about, look at my Met Gala breakdown on Shabuzi. They did a ritual on Shabuzi, the Saturn hat and everything. I'll break that down. I've already broken it down. Let's get to the lecture. So today's lecture is Soul Elementals 2, the meta anatomy of the aeons and elemental soul matrix. And I got inspired by titling it Soul Elementals 2 by listening back to the original Soul Elementals video. So you guys go check out Soul Elementals 1 on YouTube. And then I thought I should build on that because there was a lot of light side of our energy. And I've been speaking on the dark side a lot with the Moonchild information. We did make a breakthrough in the moon info. On the last Zoom video, we broke down how the moon is a plasmic structure. Our last Twitter space was fire. I might do another Twitter space this week. But we are making progress in the Moonchild info, but I think it's a little bit cliffothic. It's not light. There's no like real light behind it. So I wanted to do a video focusing on light. So what the first thing you need to do, look at yourself as a plasma intelligence that incarnated in a human form. Remember the Nokia phone. I was explaining this to a goddess, I think yesterday. I was helping her with her chart. So the Nokia phone was the first phone that used GSM standards, which became the dominant technology today. The Nokia phone is representing your incarnated physical form. And the iPhone is your plasmic version of intelligence before you fell into a denser level of the quantum. So we downgraded into a Nokia. Look at it that way. When you look at a human incarnation, you downgraded into a Nokia. The Nokia represents human existence. And you know, the word Kia in magic means soul or spirit. So it's like no soul or spirit. The body. I mean, of course, there's a soul and spirit in the body, but the body itself, if you have to deal with this animalistic nature. So the Nokia is human existence, and the iPhone here is representative as a advanced plasmic being. That's why it can do so much. You see how I broke that down? I was talking about it yesterday. I said I'm gonna put that in the video for her. I want you to get the book. Some books I want you to get: Surfing Through Hyperspace. We talked about this a couple of months ago, but if you haven't gotten it, it's a good opportunity and window for you to go ahead and grab it and get it over with. Surfing Through Hyperspace by Clifford Pickover. Surfing Through Hyperspace. In the book, it has been supporting my research. It illustrates how beings from higher spatial dimensions has the ability to influence lower ones in ways that we perceive it. So whether that can be by the supernatural or the divine, the book shows concepts of tesseracts, hyperspheres, and fourth dimensional perception, which mirrors our model of the mind as a toroidal vortex, where reality is collapsed through the observer's interface with the hyperfields. So Clifford Pickover is saying in his book that there's agents controlled by the government agencies investigating hyperdimensional incursions. In my theory, it posits that the modern psychic and esoteric warfare here is what I've coined as the Moonchild Project. So it backs up some of the Moonchild stuff. But it also gives you the hyperdimensional physics. There's nobody on the internet other than Giorgiani speaking about hyperdimensional physics and how you need to be looking at it. Another book you need to get is Vodal Gnosticism by Frater Vameri. Frater Vameri. $22 book. An introduction in rites and practices. And this book is going to describe your Atlantean soul as a shamanic vessel. I spoke about tapping into your shaman soul. That's why I sell the sacred plants, because these plants ain't cheap. but I've been selling it for the past 5 years, or connecting my, my audience to it, because it's going to unlock your shaman soul. Now, the people that got too whacked out and crazy on the LSD and all that mushroom stuff, that's on their ass. I don't know what type of trauma or what's in their astrological chart where that, defeats them in that way. But I want to deal with advanced people to understand how they can utilize those sacred plants. So when you open up your shaman soul, it's going to give you primordial gnosis. Some of y'all remember in my old channel when I did my video moving past occultism into psychedelics, I think it was some video, I can't remember the name of it. It was something like that. That was a very important video in the transition of how I give information. When I went on my trip with Changa and the mushrooms, that changed me forever. I don't care how damn spiritual I was. That shit changed me. I can't look at the world the same way. You see, because of, the gnosis that I received, because I activated my shaman soul. Yeah, shaman is wild. I mean, Changa, my bad. Changa is a very powerful psychedelic. Very, very powerful. So it's going to give you primordial gnosis. And he talks about navigating multiple planes through ritual trance, ancestral possession, and elemental invocation. So he goes into the elements, and he speaks about how the soul carries genetic memory of pre-cataclysmic civilizations that align with the Loa, the daimons, and the cosmic currents that shape the soul's alchemy. And his perspective will deeply give framework of showing how each elemental titan, earth, air, water, and ether, I'm going to cover in a minute, is not just an abstract force, but a reawakened Atlantean intelligence within the shamanic initiate, activated through gnosis, veves, and dream work. So it gives you a hyperdimensional inner ecology. That book is going to help you. And this is another book I've been talking about on Patreon, Visual Magic by Jan Fries. And Jan Fries is a male. Visual Magic by Jan Fries. This is one of my favorite books. I love this book. This is Key Chaos, a manual of freestyle shamanism. Very, very powerful book. You read this thing from front to back. A doctor says, I've tripped on LSD. I'm not damaged. Leah says that she has those books in the dry folder for whoever signed up on Patreon. Thank you so much, Leah. So we already got the books. If you're on Patreon, you can get them. So in this book, it's going to support what I'm saying. It emphasizes the power of spontaneous trance, your sigil work, your symbol work, and visualizing archetypes to access elemental intelligences. So Jan Fries is teaching that the psyche can reshape reality through improvising the ritual and having vivid inner imagery aligning perfectly with the Aeon model I'm going to show you in a minute, where each elemental becomes a conscious force in a hyperdimensional lattice. So Jan Fries methods encourages the practitioner to embody the elementals as living symbols, merging imagination and energy into a dynamic, magical ecology anchored into the self. So that's another good one. And my last one you got to get is called The Mysteries Unveiling the Knowledge of Subtle Energy Yeah, this is it right here. And it's by Bernard Havel. Bernard Havel. It's called The Mysteries, Unveiling the Knowledge of Subtle Energy and Ritual. And this book is going to provide a structured understanding of how subtle energy flows through ritual space, how to create bridges between the physical, the astral, and Davic realms. So that's my scholarship for today. These are the books I've been working with. And it's lecture from here on out from here. Now make sure y'all liking the video. Now, someone asked me, the same goddess, I won't say her name, I'll keep her identity between me and her, but she asked me yesterday about how the mechanics of the dream catcher in your room helps. She has this dream catcher, and we were doing a consultation speaking on how you can utilize that dream catcher, because our dreams are going to be very vibrant and active right now in these times, especially the astrological transits that we're in. So the spiritualist needs to be experimenting with different weave patterns of the dream catcher. We actually need to do a class on how there's different effects of weaving a dream catcher, or how to weave one, your own one, based on geometry. But I'm gonna cover this real quick. So the dream catcher is the weaving or luminous webs, and it's a hyperdimensional lattice for light consciousness to be captured. So that's what the dream catcher is. The dream catcher is a hyperdimensional geometrical technology. Every string or weave is a living lattice designed to interface with the light fields of consciousness. So through sacred geometry, quantum memory filtration, and ancestral wave field encoding, every dream catcher functions as a psychotronic matrix that captures and sorts vibratory data from dream realms, astral planes, and multiversal simulations. But there is a geometry of each web. So each web of the dream catcher reflects the flower of life, a spirographic vortice in hyperbolic grid typologies. These shapes are not decorative, they are frequency nets tuned to the dreamer's biofield. So you still need to be doing your work. The dream catcher itself ain't shit without you activating your aura. So just buying a dream catcher and saying, I got my dream catcher, Ani, that don't mean nothing. You need to be actively working. And that's why we have the classes, so you know how to work it, what you need to be doing. So these frequency nets are tuned to the dreamer's biofield. They map the light flow of thought, memory, and archetypal intrusions. So in sacred terms, the dream catcher is a 2.5 dimensional sigil, part of a dimensional braid reaching from 3D to 5D cognition. The dream catcher captures photons and quantum consciousness. So understand, your dreams are not random. Your dreams are photon-based informational fields emitted by consciousness navigating between densities. And the dream catcher operates like a photonic sieve. It separates low density noise. That's nightmares, psychic parasites. You see that? Keynote right there. That's what it's used to do. It's sifting through that. So you also want to separate. So the dream catcher is separating low density noise, the nightmares and psychic parasites, from the luminous data packets, which are messages from your higher selves in the different multiverse, the daemons and the ancestors. So this aligns with quantum decoherence theory, where the observation collapses the field, yet the dream catcher acts as a buffer before the collapse, allowing symbolic filtration. So it's a dream filtration that happens that purifies the dreamscape before it collapses. Each dream catcher are spirit threads and ancestral encoding. Traditionally, they're made from sinews or strings, and those threads are more than material. They are ancestral circuits. Each strand is encoded with bloodline harmonics based on your genetics. The weaving process itself is a ritual spell, a topological encryption of intention that was passed down by matrilineal wisdom keepers of this land as a psychic armor. And at the center of it is a hole or a eye. That's the void gateway we're talking about right here for those of you looking. This is a void gateway allowing only coherent dream matter to spiral through the toroidal minefield of the sleeper. So in all, the dream catcher is a hyperdimensional interface. So I'm one of the few people, as I said, talking about this hyperdimensional physics. People just want to talk about flat earth, veganism, and conspiracy, but you need to listen. This type of information described this way is very important, and why we utilize these type of things like a dream catcher. So this thing is going to behave to you as a subtle transducer. It converts dream matter into signals that's readable by the higher astral body. So in the system that you prepare for it, it doesn't have to be the NAGAPATHU. It could be whatever system you use. It becomes a angelic deva tech or ancestral psionic tool. It's a cousin to a sigil, a yantra, or psychoacoustic gates. When it's positioned near the bed or the crown of the dreamer, it orients itself to geomagnetic ley lines, etheric bandwidths, depending on its construction. So if you apply this to your lucid dreaming, you have something called soul retrieval, where the dream catcher can be used to program the dream space, embed glyphs into its structure to invoke memory recall, combat intrusion, or summon guidance. It is especially potent in soul retrieval work, capturing lost or fragmented soul light and rebinding it through sleep or induced hypnagogia. So used alongside a mantra, that's when you're using your melanin resonance and the color breathing, it becomes a navigational node for multiversal traversing. So the dream catcher is not simply a decorative amulet. It's an ancient hyperdimensional lattice, a biomorphic antenna for catching, filtering, integrating the light of consciousness. And when viewed through the lens of sacred physics and quantum esotericism, it reveals itself as a psychic technology of ancestral intelligence woven into the matrix of the mind for multidimensional navigation. Give me some thumbs up if you understand that before we move on. Yeah, write it down. Your dreams is very powerful right now. Very, very powerful. All right, so let me go back over these aeons. These people that was in my class, y'all already got a gist of it, but this is going to be even more information that y'all got from last week. So before we get into the elemental science, you must understand Gnostic cosmology to be a true spiritualist in the workings of this thing. The 607 Ankhs and these other characters, they rarely explain these things. You see, look at this right here. How can you explain this? You see what I'm saying? How do you explain this yet? You got to be very intricate in detail to know what this is. And it takes research and it takes something spiritual to really understand what it is. So this is only for the big gurus, the people with the Ugra Nakshatra in their charts. That's like the fierce Nakshatra. I learned that from Vishwa the other week. They've been laughing at me. I said, once I learned that Ugra Nakshatra, I've been feeling real confident in myself. I got a Ugra placement in my chart. So to conceptualize this diagram of the 13 seals, this is the divine hierarchy of Barbello Gnostics, the Barbello Gnostic physics. We're understanding how there's a ontological flow of emanations. Remember, I said in the Cults of the Singularity video, studying emanationism is all what the hologram is. If you study emanationism, you can see how rituals work on all of our ass. Studying emanationism is what Kabbalah is. You understand all the shit. You understand what the computer is doing. You can understand what your children is doing. Emanationism is one of the highest science to understand the universe and dimensionality. So there's a meta-ontological flow of emanations where aeons, powers, and conscious states represent the quantum intelligent fields or plasmic consciousness that constructs flowing downwards from the pleroma, which is fullness, down into entropy, simulation, and corporeality. Get that in your mind. Entropy, simulation, and corporeality. So these 13 seals suggest that each level is a major node. They represent dimensional thresholds. So this is my model of it. I simplified it a little bit better, but you want to look at this model to get the fullness of it. So you have my model here. You can take a screenshot of that, and you have this model. So this is the original model. I'm gonna go through this. Each thing, what you're looking at here, there's dimensional thresholds. We're speaking about the unknown silent one is what they refer to as the primal God. This is before you get the God in the Bible. So when you are in a complete silent state, they just built this room. It's the quietest place on earth. And if you can spend 1 minute, what they said, like 20 minutes in there or something like that, they'll pay you like $1 million. And nobody has been able to stay in this room because it's so quiet. That's where the real God is. That's where the primal God is. You see, there's other Yahweh character. He's we'll break that down. This unknown silent one is called the monad, and it's where your soul comes from. Your soul is a fragment of what's up here. That's why the God down here in these dimensional thresholds don't like what comes from up here, because he's nothing but an emanation of it, and he's jealous. You get it? Remember, they talk about a jealous God. So the dimensional thresholds are guarded by aeonic frequencies. So each one of these little circles, or where you see these words, are called aeons. Okay. So there's an aeonic frequency or a symbolic encryption to each seal that equals a vibrational encryption. So these seals could be activation codes for reclaiming consciousness across dimensions and unlocking the soul's transit from dense into the divine. So at the top, you have the source, the monad, the supernal tiers. That's what we talked about with the unknown silent one. The quantum silence or primordial vacuum field. It's not absence. It's nothing but hyperdimensional neg entropy of the source. It's comparable to the 0 point plenum of the Ein Sof in Kabbalah. Then you have here the invisible spirit, one level below. This is the pre-vibratory field of all potential. It contains the proto-laws of metaphysical being, like existence, vitality, and mentality. So this could be correlated with the conscious field harmonics. It acts as the father of frequencies or scalar substrate. We're talking about the visible spirit here. Then you have the triple power here. These are ternary resonances. That means existence, that's being, life force, vitality, and psycho spiritual intelligence. That's called the nows. Those are the triple powers. They represent the three axes of metaphysical time, which is eternality, aeons, and the chronospatial field. We was cooking with that. But what is Barbello here? Has anyone given you the physics of Barbello? That's where the word Babylon in the original concept of the whore comes from. Can anyone tell me what is the whore? Why do they call her the whore? In Gnosticism, Barbello is the first emanation from the ineffable source. The ineffable is an androgynous aeon embodying divine will, thought, and potential. However, in some fragmented heretical texts and esoteric interpretation, Barbello becomes associated with the whore archetype, not as a moral judgment, but as a symbol of cosmic reproduction, boundless generativity, and the gateway through which spirit enters multiplicity. Esoterically, the whore represents the womb of manifestation, the matrix that births all forms, both light and shadow. She is sacred and profane, embodying the paradox of divine emanations and the fall into matter, thus serving as a bridge between pure potential and chaotic creation. Now that we understand Barbello, we can go into the physics. You said make it bigger. Y'all motherfuckers, y'all can copy it on your phone and make it bigger. God damn it. Barbello is the sacred womb. Let me make it bigger over here. Hold on. I felt bad. Somebody made me feel bad. I know we got elders in here. Here we go right here. I'm about to blow it up for the old person. Come on, grandson. Blow it up for me. Can y'all see that? Put a thumbs up if y'all can see that. All about old people. If it's blurry, you need to switch over to 4K on your phone. Look at the top right-hand corner. You click 4K. It makes it clear. I know some of y'all don't know that YouTube just added that option. All right. So Barbello is the quantum womb. She's the first thought field. Write that note. Critical notes. Rarely, I've been through thousands of Gnostic books and videos. Nobody explains this stuff. This takes a lot of research to get this together. So Barbello is the first thought. She acts as the quantum matrix or the morphic resonance field from which all patterns and archetypes emerge. She is the cosmic yoni, mirroring the Platonic world soul, composed of feminine intelligence and the foundation of all emanated intelligent structures. She generates, get this, these Gnostic words, kalyptos, that's right here, kalyptos. My bad, I had a misspelling. So it's kalyptos, the hidden one. Then you get protophanes, the first appearing one, Then you have Antagonist, the self-generated one. This is her first children. They are, in physics, keynote, Calyptos, Protophanes, and Antagonist are waves or dimensions of latent, active, and self-actualized consciousness. Now, let me explain them. So you have this triune of aeonic resonance here coming from Barbello. All right. Calyptos is the hidden one. He represents the superposition phase of potentiality in a concealed realm akin to dark matter of spirit or subquantum potentiality. Protophanes, the first appearing one, is the emanation becoming form, the first observable wave function that collapses into light consciousness patterns, a kind of logos of light. Then you have Autogonist, the self-generated one. This is the self-reflective consciousness, the mind field that mirrors itself, correlating to quantum entanglement in psycho-spiritual form. This is the first sun or Christ aeon in most Gnostic systems here. Autogonist. So a lot of you probably never heard of them. So we're giving you the anatomy of the highest fields of consciousness. Explain here. So you have these aeonic constellations. They are fields of archetypes and beings. Each name in these bubbles you see, they're either the middle ones are aeons. These other bubbles, they could be angels or they could be archons. They're like the grandchildren. So the first Gnostic angels are like Armazel. You see Armazel here, Oriel and Devathi. We did a class on them. They represent the localized aeonic field. So you can think of them. These over here are the standing waves or frequency nodes within the pleroma. These are structural harmonics like nodes in a quantum lattice, forming planes or dimensions of spiritual geometry and psychic agencies. Armazol is a guardian of divine grace and the highest aeonic vibration closest to the autogonist mind. Alalith, where is Alalith? I don't even see Alalith. Alalith is down here. Alalith holds wisdom and gnosis like Kether to Tifereth in the interface of the Kabbalistic tree. And then you have Sophia. So here's Sophia. They love saying her name on these podcasts now and don't even know what the fuck she is. Here's a note for you. Sophia is the entropic attractor. She is a divine error or curiosity that collapses upper dimensions into density, which becomes matter. I bet they never explained that. So Sophia ain't nothing but the divine error. Okay. And she is the mother of the physical plane, but she is the era. She don't got shit on Barbello and these higher aeons. So look how far we fell. We worshiping this shit down here, and we ain't even talking about what's up here. You know? So let's talk about that collapse. You see how Sophia is the mother of this. The collapse represents the simulation. There you have it, big note. So when she collapses, things become the simulation. Yaldabaoth or Yaldabaoth in the 7 archons. You heard of this before. These are the manifestation of psycho-spiritual entropy or inverse aeonic distortion. They generate false demiurgic constructs, the simulation of the divine pattern that traps light into what's called the anti-typoid. The anti-typoid is aeonic copies, a shadow-like quantum echo of the true aeons, but it don't got shit on it. Then you from here you go into the descending fields on down. The anti-typoid is it forms in density. They are shadow aeons or metaphysical clones that are corrupted feedback loops of the original aeons, akin to the AI generated realities or corrupted quantum fields. Then you get to, so this is the anti-typoid. This is the aeonic copies. Then you get to Erodius, the airy earth. The airy earth is a interdimensional brain world. That's BRANE, not brain like your head. It's an interdimensional brain world, a liminal field between spirit and matter, hosting ephemeral forms. And then you have the cosmos isotos down here. The isotos, that's the corporeal world. This is the material 3D world, a collapsed waveform governed by the limitations opposed by these up here, the archonic matrix, which could be simulated. They're the corrupted intelligences that become the planets. Yaldabaoth becomes the sun, Saboa probably Saturn, all that type of shit. So then you learn how to escape back. How to escape back is this thing right here. So how do you escape back out the light? Is to return to the path of metanoia. Metanoia is our form of repentance. It's called paroikesis. This right here, paroikesis. These Greek words, which means sojourn. The metanoia acts as a quantum reversal of Gnostic wormholes to return the soul back into the pleroma. So in Gnostic physics, this is the inversion of entropy, the gnosis and awareness that begins to re-encode the soul light for escaping the simulation. So you got that. The archons gives us these energy harvesters through the false matrix mind. Porn is nothing but loneliness sold as sex. Alcohol is a escape sold as fun. Fast food is poison sold as food. Luxuries is emptiness sold as joy. Video games is isolation sold as play. Celebrities are ads sold as role models. Drugs is numbness sold as happiness. Social media is likes sold as friendship. Smoking is addiction sold as relaxation. And strolling is distraction sold as downtime. So these are all cheap dopamine, which is the Trojan horse of modern misery that the archons govern. We cooking on this video. All right, so can I take my grandma glasses off? Can I zoom out of this now? I'm taking my grandma glasses off. Let's go back over here. And this is my model. I break it down. The invisible spirit is primordial potential. The emanator field, the triple power, is nothing but fractalized field axis. Barbello is the morphogenetic field. Calyptos, protophanes, autogonous is the waveforms of becoming. The aeons, 6A, 6B, there's two sections of them, are vibrational collapse spectrums, divine archetypes. Sophia and Yaldabaoth is the fracture and fall. The archons and the anti-typoid are simulated decoherence, and the cosmos is corporeal matter that we exist in. So there is no secret or it's not a secret that the secret tech is called jewel. That's in us. That's what we have from the aeons. The jewel is an emanation of the aeons, not JEWELS, JOULE. So a joule is a unit of energy. We're talking about this type of joule. So the jewel is embedded in each person, and mastering one's emotional field accesses this cosmic energy. Through access, it can be bridged during moments of strong emotions. Uncontrolled emotion renders the ability inconsistent. So just in case you don't know what you are a potential magnetic emotional energy created by the stillness of a dielectric plane of the helix of non-emotion. Essentially, you are a jewel of the monad reincarnated. Star Wars calls these jewels midichlorians. You ever heard of the midichlorians? Those are jewels. So take these jewels and translate them. They are the cells of the elemental. So if we examine the origin and formation of thought, we are really entering into a consideration of the life found upon the plane of the mind. Atoms of substance are found upon that plane, as well as any plane. They're called elementals. When a thought is experienced within the human mind, it is because there are myriads of mental elementals, that is, atoms of mental substance, magnetically joined together, and the end result of their union is the creation of what you call a thought form. So I'm giving you the physics of how thoughts come from the aeonic model that I just showed you. So a thought form is the assemblage of countless elemental lives geometrically configured in accordance with the nature of the ideal that was intended by the thinker or the soul. In other words, a thought form comes into being because the will of the thinker energetically influences elemental lives to assemble themselves in a certain way so as to accurately reflect the intended ideal sent forth by the soul. Therefore, every thought experience within the human mind is a reality, a geometric construction of uncounted atoms of elemental life. So that's my introduction. So in my new lecture form of this, I want to expand on the principle that consciousness is not confined to the brain or body, but it is a meta-architectural force that shapes reality through our thought forms constructed by these elemental beings. These beings are not fantasy. They're not the fairies and all of that, even though they are the real fairies. You want to talk about that. These are semi-autonomous, semi-intelligent agents embedded within the astral light, functioning as energy-bearing carriers of karma, of memory, and psychic intention. Here we reinterpret the ancient language of theosophy, Samkhya, Hermeticism, and Tantric metaphysics into a post-quantum magical theory of the mind, body, and soul. So magic, as we now define it, is the art of intentional navigation and construction within these hyperdimensional strata, using symbolic resonance, ritual will, and energetic modulation to shape the elemental field around us and within us. So you have these soul elementals: fire, water, air, and earth. You heard about them your whole life. I'm about to take you through the lens of the quantum toroidal physics of it, the multiversal consciousness of your Asauric Titan metaphysical cosmology of what the elemental lives are. So let's look at fire. Fire quantumly can be looked up to as the quantum ignition of the plasma vortex. What is that? That's toroidal correspondence. Consciousness has a ignition ring, a inner plasma core of the toroidal mind field. So fire is the catalytic elemental intelligence. In quantum terms, it relates in plasma dynamics and information ignition as the initial spark of the observer that collapses in quantum measurement. So in the system that you utilize, whatever magic or spiritual system you utilize, fire can represent our daemon's will, which is a transdimensional signal from the higher self that erupts as desire, purpose, rage, transformation. And multiversally, fire is how one timeline burns through into another. That's called a phase shift or rupture, which is caused by concentrated intention or trauma forming new quantum branches. Its Titan function, the fire titans willed what's called the Prometheus code. They bring flame to consciousness, activating latent codes in our DNA, memory, and astral template. Then down here we have the water. The water elemental quantumly represents the dream field. The quantum fluidity in its toroidal correspondence is surrounding the flow layers of the torus in the flux of the subconscious interface. Water is the fluidic memory interface. It represents quantum coherence, superposition in the field of dreams. In our research, we can conclude that water connects sentient dream matrices, our ancestral memory in the subconscious multiverse, where timelines overlay and communicate through emotion and symbolic resonance. Water allows access to what we coined in the, well, it was another research example I made, the Kordaluski clouds, or the mirror worlds, or astral tunnels, especially in lucid dreaming or trauma-induced trance states. Its Titan function, water titans preserve the deep DNA record and modulate etherical tides, guiding dream avatars across dimensional rivers like a Charon or ferryman, cycle pump. Then we have the air elemental up here. Air quantumly is the thought wave field, which is our quantum perception. The toroidal correspondence of air as an elemental in the mind is the spinning dynamic of the torus, or the data translation in awareness vectors. Air governs quantum cognition, pattern recognition, and the entangled thought web that links multiversal cells. It is the medium through which thought becomes geometry, influencing the shape of the reality via frequency, symbol, and breath. Air connects the Akashic lattice, facilitating non-local information travel, remote viewing, and inter-daemonic messaging systems. Its Titan function, the air titans are architects of mental blueprints, translators of the cosmic language, and keepers of your mind grid's breath tech, which can then manipulate the psychoacoustic portals to your color breath technique that we spoke about earlier, color breathing. Then we have Earth. The Earth elemental represents the collapsing field, quantum grounding. Its toroidal correspondence is the base anchoring node of the torus field, the grounding point of the waveform into matter. Earth is the collapsed waveform. It represents crystallization, the final formation of events and archetypes in physical reality. This is some powerful shit. It is the simulation's density lock, where consciousness descends into encoded limitations to experience individuation and resistance. Earth holds the archetypal records, karmic imprints, and grid-based memories of all incarnations within the toroidal field. Is Titan's function. The Earth Titans are gravity benders, holding aeonic weights of karma, form, death, and rebirth. They create the stable grounds form, which all other elements emerge into tangibility. I don't know what this thing doing. Hold on, guys. We do have a Kosh. I have to break that down. I don't got my notes up for that right now. The fifth element, but when you integrate it all, the toroidal field is unifying the structure of our soul. Each elemental titan occupies a node or axis of the torus, cycling information inward and outward between the quantum potential, which is the 0 point, in the individuated self. Our mind sits at the apex of the torus, forming a hyperconscious processor where all the elemental intelligences braid into our multiversal avatar, which is us on the other side. So this whole framework I gave you is reflecting not just on elemental mysticism, but I'm giving you the living cosmology of consciousness as a recursive layered system architected through breath, memory, symbol, and dreaming, woven into a field that spirals through infinite realities. And I think I'm going to save. I'm not going to break the Manu because I have the science on the Manu Gunas and Petries, but I'm going to save that for Patreon. So elementals are the substructure of our thoughts. The mental geometry of elemental assemblage is theosophical and is Samkhyan doctrine. If thought is a substance constructed by aggregation of elemental lives, that means each ideal, intention, or image summons myriads of elemental particles, guided by our soul and shaped into the tripartite laws. These thought forms are more than abstract impressions. They are living archetypal geometries. Their persistence in the astral light becomes karma, and this is the metaphysical meaning of you reap what you sow. The sowing is psychic, and the harvest occurs across time through vibratory return. So look at, when you're working with the elementals, look at your dream as a magical threshold. Dreams are portals where our hyperdimensional selves are constructed and layered through elemental geometries and communicate with the waking ego. You have a different souls inside of your soul, which are the vision of the aeons connected to the elemental intelligences. Just like I said, I was going to give a image on how you have, when they say we have light ships, we have different light ships. We have light ships to travel every single multiversal timeline that there is. We have a UFO for every single timeline. I'm trying to give y'all this shit. Imagine we have a garage in our damn spirit zones of where our spirit exists in, and we have a different vehicle, a different geometrical lattice inside of the informational field that can embed itself into whatever quantum matrix there is across the multiverse. We have a vehicle for each and any simulated potentiality of how many timelines it is. We got one for it. That's how advanced we are. I even had pictures of the damn ships. I'm gonna have to show that probably on Patreon. But so you have these different souls. So the shaman souls, they allow engagement with thought forms and ancestral spirits, inner worlds. It comes from dreaming techniques and charging your sigils, using incense and focusing on your affirmations. It prepares you to encounter the elemental intelligences in their pure form So this is when I gave that mantra, Om Ha Bagura Pima Seti Om. You say this over and over, and it opens up the toroidal field for you to commune with those elemental intelligences. Yeah, I said that's dope as fuck. Yeah, I'm trying to tell you, I got some damn shit that you never heard before. I just got so much information, I can't drown y'all with it. I would have to do one of them Bobby Hemmett 8-hour lectures to go through all of that shit. So we just cooking with what we got right now. So to encounter these elemental intelligences, you got to do the Om Ha or the Sainaha, the mudras, and you're going to get the elemental intelligences in their purest form. Then you can allow for them to work as like your ancestral avatars to attack these or heal the astral parasites, the wounds that was created by psychic trauma, undigested emotions, and explore our dream body as the powerful magical vessel that it is. So this is a dream phenomenon. That's a principle that we should be using for psychic defense in the elemental intelligences. So let me see where I'm at. I'm way on another side of my damn. Okay, I see where I'm at. So our thought forms is the meta anatomy of mental creation. Thought is not just an abstraction. It is a morphogenetic act. Every ideal is an aggregation of countless elemental lives. It's shaped by energetic charge of the thinker. The soul is the conscious witness. Let me say that shit again. Hold up now. Hold up now. Thought is not just an abstraction. It is a morphogenetic act. Every ideal is an aggregation of countless elemental lives. Damn. Shaped by the energetic charge of the thinker, the soul is our conscious witness that impresses geometry upon the elemental substance, giving birth to thought forms, which can become autonomous karmic entities when imbued with sufficient energy. So our thoughts are grown through ascent and attention, and they crystallize into semi-living intelligences, which can assist or hinder the soul's evolution. And you look in Stoicism, they speak about this like the lecta theory or phantasia or the cataleptic cognition. It demonstrates how perception, imagination, and belief structure formulates in the astral field and elemental relations. You can read up on that. In our shamanic work, or the oniric field, dreaming is the alchemical furnace of the soul. We explore the astral pathways through these lessons in dreams, where the dream is a fractal mirror of inner multiplicity of the elemental facilitating the thought forms. By engaging in structured dream rituals, utilizing our magical journals, using certain incense before we enter the dream realm, we're confronting the mask of ourselves across the other timeline dimensions. In these states, we can initiate ourselves to encounter the elemental kingdoms, not symbolically, but experientially as living codes embedded within the fabric of the dream and desire. And this prepares the soul for multidimensional reintegration through conscious dreaming, energy harvesting, and initiatory remembrance. So the elements, in conclusion, the soul elementals are the language syntax of our spirit. To master the elementals is to master the syntax of reality. They are not mere spirits, but thought's own architecture, karma's agents, the subconscious of the primal God. When we reclaim them through conscious intention, imagination, and discipline, we unlock not only the ancient magical science, but our divine inheritance as the creators, transformers, and dreamers of worlds. That's some high metaphysical stuff. I'm about to put the link in for questions. I'm about to put the link in the chat for questions because I got to get out of here in a minute. Let me put this link in here. Hold on. Okay, here's the link right here. Yeah, you gotta, this is something, soul science, you can't watch it one time and be like, I got it. This shit took me a lifetime to start understanding or even wanting to research this shit. I didn't even use my other damn graphics. These are my other graphics of the elementals. So you see how the mind is the toroidal field, and you got fire, you got ether, the zones in between the water and the air. I ain't even get to use my other goddamn pictures. Goddamn. I was feeling like I was only using one picture the whole goddamn shit. Let me make sure ain't nobody come up in here. We ain't got nobody yet. But yeah, family, it takes a quite bit of work for you to get in direction of what you want to do. That's why I gave a system. The elemental is just one part of it. This is a lifetime journey of work. You have to put the work in, like Panic and Bobby them used to say. You put the work in and you start to unlock more and more, and other things become central to the attention that you need to focus upon. Yeah, it takes time to absorb it. You know, it's just play it back. And Patreon, we do a pretty good job. I like to ask questions. You know, I need to start giving tests to make sure that you are processing and absorbing it. Let me see if anybody came up in here yet. Okay, no, we don't have nobody in here. I guess y'all get it, or y'all still scratching y'all heads around it. Make sure y'all do a donation. Make a donation to the Spiritual Shade Room. I gave y'all a lot of science today. Cash App, $ Spiritual Shade Room. And mods, put my PayPal in there. I'm trying to keep the lights on now. What else we got out here? There ain't shit happening out here, man. There ain't shit happening. There ain't shit else happening out here. I'm conclude. Okay, we got somebody on the stage. What's going on, God? Can you hear me?
Hello.
Peace, God. What's going on?
Peace. I just have a question. That when you were talking about the aeons and basically the path back, I forgot the name you said to get to, I guess, the monad. I was thinking like
metanoia. But go ahead.
Metanoia. Okay, yeah. I was thinking, would umbrakinesis be part of it that you need to do?
Say that last part.
I said, would umbrakinesis, like that video you did about umbrakinesis and the shadow self, that would be part of getting back?
Yes, umbrakinesis. I did say that. I said I included shadow work. Umbrakinesis is another word for shadow work, but it's the distinct science of shadow work instead of the mundane understanding of what shadow work is. So yeah, umbrakinesis is definitely a part of what you need to do to integrate the fractured pieces of yourself back into the higher aeons. But it takes a lot of, it has to have the right astrological alignments. And it takes a lot of dedication to spirituality to finally get up out of here and fuse back in to the upper aeons.
Okay, that makes sense. All right,
Yeah.
thank you.
No problem, guy. And thank you for the question.
Yeah, dope video.
I appreciate you. All right, family. I guess nobody else got questions. So with that, we're going to be back on Patreon in the next couple of days. Make sure you inbox or email me for the Gematria Vedic astrological readings. Got the Sacred Plants, Star Tribe 777 at gmail.com. And if you can donate $1, $5 to the Melanated Ministries, please do. Oh, we got another brother coming up in here. Donate to the Melanated Ministries. What's going on, D?
What's going on? Can you hear me clearly?
Yeah, I can hear you, guys. What's happening?
Much. So I had a quick question. So I'm kind of new to this information, and I'm looking at the chart that you had showed earlier, and you had a breakdown where you went over Sophia's kids.
Yeah, Sophia's kids is the archons, Yaldabaoth, and the 7 archons. Yep.
And you said these archons represent different planetary cycles or planets. Are these planets the same planets you see in your natal chart? Or
yeah, before they're the mirrored, fractured reflections of the upper aeon. So it's like your great grandchild.
Mm-hmm.
Now your great grandchild don't quite have you see how the genetics is mixed so much. It's not really you anymore.
Right.
It's you is a piece of you in there, but there's a lot of other genetics mixed in that. So it's a little piece of you. But let's just say your great grandchild try to act like they have what you have. They don't really got it. You know, they got a piece of you in there, but they don't really have it. So that's how the archons is. So when they finally come into form, they become the
I had a quick question. So I'm kind of new to this.
Hold on, let me mute the brother. But they become the planets when they come into full form. But they're fractured. But they're like the shadow intelligence behind it, pretty much.
Okay.
That makes sense.
So it's almost like the bastardized form in a sense.
A preform.
Preform, okay.
The planets probably are more the bastardized. The planets, because the planets are schizoid, they can be benevolent, like Jupiter is benevolent to us.
Mm-hmm.
Saturn is not really a bad planet. It just makes sure we're disciplined, make sure we're doing the right shit, or right. It fucks us up. So it's kind of like the planets are more bastardized, but they are representative of the archons. Definitely. I know that as a fact.
Okay. Because when you was talking about that, I was like, it's a whole nother layer. I'm familiar with all the natal chart stuff, you know. Like I said, when you introduced that chart, I'm like, this stuff go really deeper than
oh yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'll bring on some Yotish Vedic astrological gurus on here, and they'll confirm it, and they'll take you through the houses and the charts and show you how the archons play a role and all of that. This is the pre-science to all of this shit. Then you get into astrology. You got to know what the aeonic science is really if you want to understand it all before you can understand the intelligence of how the planetary intelligence works.
Okay, copy that. And one last question. I hear a lot about archons and whatnot, and how different organizations either, I guess, not necessarily worship, but work for the archons. When this stuff is going on, is it like an energetic channel, or is it like someone like in the room somewhere telling them what to do?
Now you're gonna have to phrase. Are you saying?
Oh, let me back up. So one of the common ones that's brought up a lot is like Boule. You know,
Yeah.
they say a lot of Boule members work for archons, stuff like that.
Oh, well, okay. So the archons are a piece of all of us. We all have archons.
Okay.
So the archons is like when you get to a pathway, there's like a fork in the road where you got to choose a path. That's what the archons represent.
Okay.
You know,
okay.
they're like trickster, but they make you they are what makes it necessary for it to be another pathway. So it's
Makes
not
sense.
all
Okay.
negative, like like it's real bad, but it can be negative. It creates the possibility of it being negative. That's what the archon is.
Gotcha. It's all almost like this serves almost like an inspiration to make a decision in a sense.
Well, it gives the potentiality.
Mm-hmm.
The archons is a part of the potentiality of what negative can happen. Negative instances can happen. So there isn't a manifested archon that's around here controlling the boule. The archons are a part of all of us, but there are egregores collectively that people worship these particular archons. See, the motherfucking Elohim ain't nothing but the archons.
Okay.
Now you have esoteric interpretation. You can look at yourself as the Elohim. So you have the esoteric interpretation, but if you want to get into the literal text, when they said that there was a bunch of gods that built the body, that's the fucking archon. I just broke down how they're the collapsed wave field. They're the collapsing wave field. So what collapsed, when they collapsed, that's when the physical form.
Right.
So they are the Elohim in the Bible too. They're the Anunnaki too.
Okay. I'm following. So I got more research to do then because it's almost like you got to look at it with a new set of lens, if that makes sense. So I appreciate
That's
your
yeah, that's what
insight.
spirituality. Let me tell you something before you go. Spirituality, true spirituality is being able to look at something that you thought you knew in a new perspective. If you can't do that, then you're not really spiritual. You're ceremonially celebrating what you know.
Bingo. Okay. That makes sense. Well, I'm definitely spiritual because you go through your day-to-day life and see stuff different from other people and be like, man. But I appreciate the insight. I appreciate your help. And I'm gonna hop off.
No problem, guys. Thank you for the questions too.
No problem.
All right, peace. All right, we got Taj Bo. Can you hear me, Taj Bo? Taj Bo is up in here meditating. Taj Bo. I know you're in deep meditation, Taj Bo, but if you don't pick up the mic, all right, I got to get you out of here, Taj Bo. You damn meditating too goddamn hard. You look like you a little bit slizzard. You a little bit slizzard, Taj Bo? Taj Bo is slizzard like a motherfucker. All right, Taj Bo. All right, y'all. We don't got the archons done infiltrated the podcast or the video. So I'm out of here. I Rimpoya, I Oshulu. Till the next one. Peace.